which is on Appendix B. We get these written reports, which will be encouraged. We will certainly need full written report for the final budget decisions, which will be in the January meeting, where budget requests are coming from. And to make any decisions as appropriate. So there's 3 to look at on here. Do you want to read this on, Michael, or Kendall?
Yeah, first of all, the Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group, but that's on the agenda. It's an agenda paper, and that's just referred to, so I don't think we need to go to that one. The Cemetery Working Group, again, is just an update, so we are in discussion and negotiations with Rutland County Council. Rutland County Council are fully aware that the working group does not have delegated powers. We made that quite clear both verbally and in writing to them. And in due course, we'll be bringing forward to Council the recommendations of the working group. But it is work in progress, and I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon. But we are working on that as hard as we can, but we're now waiting for a response from RCC. So, more to look forward to. The Finance Working Group, again, the proposed draft budget for you to look at is an agenda item, which is now at the end of the agenda. So again, there's nothing else to add to that. So, thank you.
Okay.
Any questions?
Has anybody got any questions on any of the reports? Martin?
Yes, I'm trying to keep it for you.
Yeah.
But I have a comment, which is, I'll try not to repeat, but it's to do with the working groups of the cemetery and the finance group. The first comments on both of these say that they initiated a new working group. Council didn't set up a new working group. Wasn't approved by council, so I wonder why we keep starting again. In particular, with the finance working group, I asked the question, as this has been the first report of this council's year from the finance working group, why we have no information or reports pre-November 2016, and we're just presented with 3 lines. We appointed, I believe, 1 new member to that group. So I don't understand this. This is where we're constantly told working groups are starting again and being initiated. If a working group is started again, that has to come from the authority of this council. The internal audit report, which we will consider later, says that there seems to be lack of evidence of any terms of reference for our working groups. There certainly is no terms of reference for working groups because most of them state that they would come to council to seek approval of terms of reference. I'm sorry to say that that hasn't happened. And I think that's the problem where we are constantly looked at by Rutland County Council, in particular with the cemetery working group, as failing because we don't give clear.
I'm sorry, I'm fine. You're going on about it. You make the point or raise a question, but don't use it as a soapbox, please.
No, I'm making a point. I'm making
a
point that we are not handling these working groups properly. But I noticed very clearly here that the first thing is we appoint a chairman. You know, a meeting just to appoint a chairman. These are serious matters for finance. And as a councillor, I want to know what's going on. I am getting fed up not knowing what is going on in this council.
I don't think you're reading the document, because I read that as on
I've got it here, Adam. It just says initiated working group, November the 16th, finance working group. This is the first report we've had this year.
Right, anyway, Michael's going to come back. Michael's going to come back. Michael's going to come back and challenge us. Sit down, please. Go on.
Well, thank you for that, Martin. By initiating a new working group, I'm aware that all council knows that new members were appointed to the working group and that they know that the working group is still there. So by initiating a new working group, I mean there's new members on that group. I think that, I apologise if that was not quite clear, but I thought all councillors, as it's minuted in the meetings, understood that. So if you didn't, Martin, I apologise for that. As far as the reports are concerned, the former membership of the Finance Working Group, which was not chaired by me. I can't make any comments as to why the action plan didn't come forward, but as you're fully aware, that person is no longer a councillor, so we can't ask him. And I agree that, you know, all working groups should produce their action plans, and I'm hoping that that will soon start to happen with all working groups. As far as information, Martin, the only thing that we have done and had to do since the internal order and end of year accounts is shown on this document. There has been nothing else for the working group to do up until that point. The first thing we've had to do is to produce a first draft budget for council's consideration for this meeting to comply with our financial regulations, and that I believe we have done. As far as the cemetery working group is concerned, that again has a new membership. We have revisited, we put a lot of effort, all the members in the new working group put a lot of effort into this. As you are fully aware, there are a number of problems and issues with this cemetery. We are holding meetings with Rutland County Council, and that's all on the form. Yeah, I didn't chair this working group before, so I wasn't on the working group before, so I can't comment and wouldn't wish to comment on what's happened before. But it is a very complicated and complex problem. We are applying due diligence, we're working in the interests of the residents of Oakham for this, and when we get to the point where we have a recommendation to make to council, we will do that. But as I alluded to a little while ago, I don't think that's going to be any time soon. And it's not because we're failing or the county council's failing, it is because there are a lot of complex issues surrounding it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else got any? No? Okay. Item 8. Thank you both for raising points on the item 8 is co-option. This is to agree on the procedure for co-opting the new member to the council, to decide whether to co-opt a new member to the council for the South West and East West. Yeah. So we have vacancies on both boards. So are we going to basically run with the same procedure that we've done before? Advertise, set a reasonable timescale.
We specified in standing orders, haven't we?
Yeah. So if we adopt the standing orders policy, I haven't looked at any dates or times on when we should be doing this, but we can advertise straight away. With a view to doing interviews in early January. It's just a case of appointing, are we going to go with the interview panel thing again? Who wants to be on the interview panel, basically? That's what we need to do. So from this item here, we're going to go with one of the proposals is that we'll go with the council standing orders on how we co-opt. All we need to do is identify people to be on the interview panel. So who wants to be on it? Martin?
No, I don't want to interview that. I was just that I thought with Christmas coming up, that perhaps we shouldn't be advertising. It's Christmas week next week, and I don't think people are going to be thinking too much about council over Christmas. Maybe we could plan the advert would be like when they return to school in the first week of January.
Okay.
I know some people have written already and expressed an interest, or someone has, but
Okay.
if they ask me who they should write to. But I think it's Christmas and we may not get the interest, it would be money wasted. So that's just my suggestion.
Yep. So there's basically going to be, and we'll probably take this all together. The proposal will be that we'll be going with the town council's procedures on it. The second thing is that we'll be advertising in the first week of January then, which is not a bad idea. As for people that want to be on it, Michael's just said that he'd like to put himself forward, so I won't take any seconders for this yet. So Michael Haley's interested in being on it. Stan is interested in being on it, and do we want a third or a fourth? No, Saya? Why not? It could be perfect for this. Yeah.
When are the interviews going to be then?
They'll be during the day, won't they, or during the
Yes,
evening?
that cuts out a lot.
I haven't decided really. I mean, normally we do the in the
evening, I'll put myself forward, it's your guys.
Previously we've done this in the evening because that way then all councillors can come along and sit around the edges, can't they? So we'll go for the evening thing, we'll go along with exactly the same format, so because it was at 6:30 before or something? So it'll be the evening that it'll be done, so we've got Vince, Stan and Michael as the interview panel, so.
Sorry, Chair.
Yeah.
I will say 4.
One of them, are you going to be there by the way? Because the
Yeah,
clerk's there
but
purely
four
to, as a, right, okay. So obviously the clerk will be there just to make sure that answer any of those technical questions. So you need a fourth candidate, Joyce?
Well, it's
Sorry,
I'm
Joyce.
going to go forth, Joyce. It's top heavy men.
Yeah.
So it's either got to be me or Simon.
So Joyce,
Can I just ask about when you say advertising, Chairman, do you mean advertising in the papers or advertising in the notice boards?
well, we put it in the notice boards, and we're going through co-option process. So we've got the notice boards, and we also put an advert in the papers in the town council's co-opting, which is exactly what we've done before.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a pity. All right,
Okay.
fine.
So we've got proposals. So Michael Haley, I'm going to say, proposed himself. Stan Stubbs proposed himself. Vince proposed himself. Joyce proposed herself.
No, she's reluctant.
Reluctantly, but she's there now. So if I have a seconder for Michael, Martin. Seconder for Stan, Richard. Seconder for Vince is going to be Peter. And seconder for Joyce is going to be Sally Ann. So I've written it down as well. So basically then the proposal is that we're going to go by the standing orders, the dates and stuff we can form up and, on when the interviews are going to be, and we'll try and get this to decision making by February meeting now, or is it like, we might look like it's the back end of January, might want to do an extra meeting, who knows.
Yeah.
So we'll line all that out. So the proposal is standing orders for the procedures. First week of January is the advertising.
Yeah.
We've had the proposal and the seconders. Right, are you going to?
Can I make an amendment to that section of my
Yeah.
notice board? But there's no reason why that couldn't go up, people passing by.
Okay. All right, yeah, that's really in the next verse. Okay. If you can, you can. All right. If even if you just print it like, I mean, probably Joyce might go around it. So we just need all those in favour, basically. That's unanimous.
Yeah.
Is your earring cut out?
Yes, it does actually.
Yeah.
Well thought through.
That was pretty straightforward. You got all the detail. Right. Number 9 on the agenda is statement of accounts. Any comments or observations? I think Martin.
Right. It was just, I did mention it to the clerk earlier, and I think we might be coming a slight cropper at the next audit on the fact that over the last 2 months we've slipped in the schedule of payments, which was supposed to authorise into this item, but we don't actually say on the agenda item that we are approving, then we just say we're approving this statement of accounts, and it is a requirement that we approve the schedule of payments each meeting.
Well, I can answer that, Chair.
Yeah.
But if I'm wrong, so I
Let's
apologise.
see what the outcome says.
It's in the audit report, which is in the papers of the council. If you look at page 2, item 1.5, payments in the ledger supported by invoices authorised and minuted. Yes. And the answer is yes.
Right.
And then if you go on to page 14 of the internal report, you see there that there's a schedule of spot checks carried out on payments, including authorities to pay, and each column has a tick, which is a pass. So, as far as I'm concerned, the internal auditor is verified that the procedures are okay.
Okay. Wondering if there's a.
The officer seems to have a schedule.
This audit report doesn't refer to the time before this change went into place, and I don't know who made that change. It's only happened for the last 3 meetings.
Okay.
And this refers to previous, so technically it's only, as far as I see it, because I've looked at Uppingham, they still have it as a separate item. I would
So what we'll do
Every town and parish council chairman have different systems.
what we'll do is we'll double check the procedures. Thank you, Martin.
But I'm aware that there are slight
Thank
differences
you.
how they're listed.
The other system is reduced the schedule of payments as a
This one doesn't. Okay, so it's, what we'll do is we'll double check, but by the sound of it, because we've moved on to, is it Sage? RBS, thank God. We've moved from Sage onto stuffing, and basically it's all contained in one. So, and everything's visible there. So what we'll do is that, what we're going to double check it. We're not going to talk about it anymore. We'll double check it and make sure that it's kosher. So I need a proposal to accept the statement of accounts unless everybody's got an issue. Proposed by Stan, seconded by Vince. All those in favour? That's 8. Are you abstaining or against, Martin? Abstaining by 1. Thank you. Right, so we're going to skip round. We're skipping around the audit. No, we're sticking with the audit. No, we're going with the audit. It's the one next one we're skipping around. Right. This is the internal audit. Members will be asked to note the council's internal audit. I mean, I am going to allow, if there aren't any comments or observations that anybody does want to make, because we have done in the past. Just once, but you never know, somebody might pick somebody else's list, you never know. Looking around the table, anybody want to say anything? Peter, thank you.
I mean, stating the obvious, there's quite a few rare comments.
Yep.
Can we be reassured that ongoing, and this isn't a criticism, but we've got a change of clerk, Oakham clerk, that we're sort of on the ball at the moment. I'll phrase this wrongly, but you know, it could be difficult times for us. So can we be reassured that
we actually read points?
Yes.
Yeah, totally get it. I will quickly answer that. I mean, to give you an idea, for instance, on the where it says 2.5 equal opportunities policy adopted, been speaking to Malcolm only today about this and other procedural documents we have in there, and we're actually utilising HR advice solutions, for instance, to look at that and diversity documents. So we're utilising the people that we've engaged to do it, so we just improve, because at the end of the day, that's what we aim to do. So anybody else looking around the table? No? Oh, well.
I couldn't make comments on each red item.
Oh, no, we'll see what people come back up with, and then, because if anybody mentions anything, I've got a comment for it, then it'll be cool.
I was asking for this to come to council for some time, because it's dated beginning of the year. The external auditor, Grant Thornton, who produces the report, which has been described recently as not possibly a report, has criticised us in the report that hasn't been brought to council as to date. Probably should have come this evening at the same time.
Yes. Mike, can we stick to the internal audit, please?
But it's important, the comment.
Stick to the internal audit.
The comment is that we don't bring this in time. We should not just be noting it. We should actually be asking questions. We should be making recommendations, so that we can honestly answer, and I'm keeping it short, the return at the end of this year. And it's been pointed out, because we don't bring it in time in the external audit report, that is a failing.
Right. Okay.
So, but also I'm very disappointed that for the second year in a row, our external auditor,
this is not we're meant to be talking about the internal audit report.
Sorry,
if you can't talk about the internal audit report,
no, I missed internal. I meant internal.
Okay.
He writes for the second year in a row that in his 15 years as an auditor working with councils, this is the most difficult council to work with. This council has accounts.
Where does it say that?
Well, you see, that's the point.
Where does it say
It says on the last page of the audit report. Any further comments, page 15. If, when agreeing to undertake this internal audit report for 2016-2017, I was looking for a challenge, then I was not being disappointed. And I won't read it all.
Right, okay.
No, it's not a compliment.
No. Stop, right. You're going to stick there. If you're not going to stick to the internal audit report and be sensible.
Because I've been interrupted and told that it wasn't in here.
Well, I see where it says demanding.
But it's not. That's not a compliment. And
that's disappointing.
That's 2 years in a row that the internal auditor has said that it's been difficult.
Is there any points on the audit report in the red comments you want to
I would like to, we used to, with Richard, he used to go through this with us, and he would say what action has been taken on these red comments. So I would like to know what action the council has taken, so that then when we do our annual return, say, Jane, do you ask these people to just stop laughing, because it's very off-putting.
And when you finish, the clerk is going to go through the red points and answer it, even though I've already answered 2.5.
Yeah, but it is the clerk's job to enlighten us. We're not supposed to just note them and say, well, we've done wrong, let's just move
So you don't
on.
want to note it, right?
No, I think we need to see if there's any
Well, you can,
recommendations
Malcolm's
still
going to, right,
outstanding.
Martin, can you come and do this? Yeah, Malcolm is going to answer the red points raised.
Thank you.
You can come back out after Malcolm's gone through the red points.
Okay, red points then, Chairman, starting with
2.2.
two processors. We've all got that.
What
Two.
page? Sorry.
Page 4. That's where the red points start.
Page 3.
Oh, I've got page 3, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean page 3. Yeah, okay, page 4.
Yeah,
Good.
just testing you.
2.2.
Yeah.
Recommendation that the council considers presenting its key governance documents. We mentioned earlier that all the key policy documents, that's the policies of the council, will be considered shortly after the new year.
Yeah.
So that hasn't been done at that stage, but is being done in the new year. 2.5, same page, equal opportunities. Chair's already said that equal opportunities will be one of the policies that we will consider. And what we do is get the standard recommendation from NAL, adapt it to Oakham's preferences and adopt it there. That's on that page. Going over to the next page. Community terms, committee terms of references, again, that will be done. Right. Going over to page 6, I'm not clear on what is meant there. The contractual position regarding the 6,000 salary. Now, I can only quote from my own experience with other councils, Chairman.
Yeah.
And I would guess, and councillors will correct me if this is wrong, is that clerks have the opportunity to opt into a superannuation scheme and or not. If they choose not to opt into a scheme, then it's financially beneficial to the council because they don't have to contribute the, what is it, 18%, 20% or something like that. And I suspect, I don't know, but I suspect, it's before my time, I suspect that there was a deal done by the council that Richard didn't want to go into the scheme, and he, you know, by negotiation,
Yeah.
the council agreed it would be cheaper.
And it's been resolved anyway because the employee is now left the employee of the council.
Yes. Of course, that's not that is not for publication.
No. Not the details of it, aren't they?
Not the detail of it. Yes.
Okay, page 8 is the bank mandate up to date.
HSBC is up to date. That's been that's been done, and the one below that, that's the Cambridge Society. That was done by me by letter on the 25th of July. And I've got the letter somewhere on the page.
Okay.
Thank you. Page 9, current status, the scribe upgrade. Well, as we already know, RBS has now been introduced, and according to Alison, is working fine. So that bit has been upgraded, and the same for the second level item on that page.
Yeah.
Page 10, initial performance appraisal, that is outstanding, but the performance appraisals will be done when you've got a clerk. You can appraise my performance, I'm sure that one or two of you might want to do, but that is noted and will be done. 3.2, risk assessments, that is something that it does concern me, because looking at the file, risk assessments and other things haven't been done for some time, and they need doing.
Normally done by the clerk, aren't they?
Yes, they are, yes. You mentioned authorised signatures. The item 5.3, cashing cheques awaiting banking are kept in a secure place. We don't have a lot of cash or cheques, do we?
We put a lockable cabinet in the office.
We've got plenty of cash which is in a lockable cabinet.
Yeah, so I
And
don't,
the box is locked aside.
I don't know why that comment is in the audit report.
But we did put in place a lockable unit.
Yes.
Okay.
Quite
Yep.
So,
So,
signatures I mentioned, and then, page 11, the
asset.
asset ratio, well, that is something that becomes urgent, because the file that I got from Richard shows that the last appraisal of assets was carried out on the 31st of March 2013.
It's due to be done then.
So it's urgent, and again, that will be done within a year. May I mention at that stage, Chairman, that valuation of assets, there is dispute with the national auditors and the Society and the National Association of Councils, because the regulations, the national regulations, require assets to be valued at their original purchase price. And the argument from that point of view is that assets can appreciate in value. And what has happened now is that the original purchase price and the current insurance valuation is that wide. And so there is a debate about that. And I personally have argued with Grant Thornton about it with other councils.
Okay.
So that will be an ongoing item, and involvement by councillors as it happens. And those are the answers to all the red bits.
Okay. Michael, you wanted to follow? Do you need to follow the system? Okay.
Just to bring members up to date, I do have a lot of experience with working with both internal and external auditors in my former life. But first of all, the internal audit we've got is marked satisfactory. Now, in audit terms, it's either unsatisfactory or satisfactory. Not a score report. You don't get excellent, good, very good, could do better. The comments in red are recommendations, most of which, if council so desired, council could ignore. I'm not suggesting it should do, but it could do, most of them, because they are recommendations made by the internal auditor in the spirit of continual improvement, which I'm sure we will want to do in any case. So, you know, the word failure has been bandied about at odd times, and it's not a failure. It is satisfactory, which means the internal auditor is satisfied with everything he's looked at. Now, the other comments, if you read the whole paragraph, when he's saying there, which he quite clearly says, I was looking for a challenge and I have not been disappointed. In other words, he found a challenge. Of the many local council internal audit assignments I've worked on over the past 15 years, this particular one has been one of the most demanding. Then he goes on to explain why. The reasons for this are the ramifications of the external assurance review, which goes back last year, not this year. Remember, this year it was satisfactory. The unfortunate long-term sickness of the clerk to the council and other internal pressures which have been well documented. And I won't go into the other internal pressures. As you're well aware, both Michael Elliott and myself provided the internal audit at his request with a lot of information, purely because at that time we did not have a clerk, and we were there to assist Alison, who was standing in without all of the background that she would need at that time. And we were both quite happy to do that. So when he's talking about challenges, and he did explain all this to both myself and Michael, and I believe Alison there, I'm not quite sure, He's not stating anything to do with failure, or he found what he was finding was difficult, that we run in difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say that I completely understand that and do not question it at all.
Thank you.
If it's
Right,
explained,
thank
then you understand that, when you just get a brick wall, that's when problems come, and that's been better because people are explaining things.
Martin.
Sorry, Chairman, but it's,
No, it's
it's
fine.
very
Let's
helpful.
move forward.
Please.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, we're saying all our heated sectors budget. Right. Item 12 is the green flag. It's a self-explanatory. Anybody got any questions or comments? Martin?
Lovely first.
Okay, be last.
Okay, I'm minded, as I did once before, but we don't need this. It's a considerable lot of work for Alison to do, and we always thank her for doing it. We don't use the website to promote the band concerts or anything, which is obviously included in the fee. Last year we got the flag and there was no media coverage at all. And I know it's only a small figure, but unfortunately I don't see, rather like Lou of the Year, it's run its course. I don't see that it's a necessary thing. We all know our contractors, with the help of the clerk and the assistant clerk, monitor and keep it tidy. We don't need people to keep repeating to us that our signs don't look very nice and we should do something better again, like we did this year. I'm sorry I went on, but I can't approve.
Okay, any other comments or observations? Joyce?
You'd expect me to say something.
No, not at all.
Actually, sorry, Joyce, but
I do a Robin Schlick, and people know what I'm talking about. Okay, it is not hard work because we just more or less say what we said the year before. It would, pardon?
I think Martin was just acknowledging that. It may not always be a compliment for the way to do things. Well, let's carry on.
There was a fault in media coverage, which will not happen again, because I shall make absolutely sure this time. There wasn't anything in the paper. Rutland and Water make a great splash about their green flag, and it's about time we did the same. It does keep us on our toes. It does make us tidy the place up and keep it tidy. And for £314, I think it's money well spent.
Anybody else have any comments? I think the thing I'll pick up from that, just to summarise, obviously your council doesn't think it's good to spend the money, obviously Joyce thinks it is good to spend money, but it comes to the point where the amount of work that goes into it, the work is already done, and the folder just needs to be updated with any changes. So, this is an application for the green flag status for Cuts Close, is submitted in 2017, and the recommendation, which I presume is going to be your proposal, Joyce, is that council authorises the expenditure for £314 green flag. So that's a proposal from Joyce.
Can I just clarify one thing?
Yeah, shoot.
Can I just clarify which budget it's coming out of?
It should come out of promotion. It's part of promotion.
It may be, but it's not come out of promotions this year.
Right, okay. So,
That's why I
needs to be a separate budget. I would say that as we move forward, one thing we're looking at doing on the budgets is looking at getting the budget headings ratified, which is difficult with the new system.
Yeah.
So we could make sure that it doesn't come out of PPWG, so in other words, that we budget specifically for it, because we're going to be talking budget, so that could be one of the things that goes into it. So proposal from Joyce is that we enter into the green flag at 314 from a budget to be determined. Seconded by Stan. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in favour. All those against? 2. So that is carried.
Thank you.
3, 4. Against. Thank you. Neighbourhood Plan Development Plan Community Survey, Appendix G. Michael, do you want to kick this off? I mean, everybody should have read this paper, but Michael might want to be... In fact, does anybody want to ask any questions maybe first, Martin? No? We could kick it around.
Okay, but the reason the paper's come through council, I suppose, is just updating the action plan, so it is a little bit more complex. when we put on to that. The steering group has wants to put on a survey, the first major survey for the neighbourhood plan in March. All the work we've been doing the group's been doing in the last few months, building up to that by a number of public engagement events to inform people what the neighbourhood plan is about, so that when we have a survey, two things happen. One, we get informed quality responses, and we'll only can expect to get that if we've informed people what the plan can do, what it's about, what the parameters are, and also, hopefully, to get a good return from that. The group's been working very hard up to this point, and will continue to do so up until the point of the survey. Post-survey, once the survey has been analysed, then the first draft plan will be produced. That then has to go up to 6 weeks public consultation. So we're getting very close to the point where there are a lot of foundation work, a lot of things that have been going on, which hasn't been a lot to show for it always. It's the foundation work. We're now getting to the point where, if you like, we're above ground level, we're emerging, people can see things are happening, and that will start to accelerate, I anticipate. What it does, though, show that the steering group, which is mainly made up of members of the public, it's a community-led plan, as you're aware, we don't have the skill set to produce and, more importantly, analyse the survey, and that's critical that it's done properly, otherwise we're not going to get any useful information, or we wouldn't know how to interpret it. And possibly we would need support also in writing the plan. That is quite normal, it happens with most plans. So the budget which was set for last year was set arbitrarily at £5,000, and that is not actually, there are a few changes, more information has come in, so I'll go on to in a moment, since I wrote this paper. But we are now going to have to, or council's going to have to start to spend money to support the development of the plan. We can apply for up to £9,000 in grant aid. That is audited, so it can't just be finger in the air and hope. And it's anticipated that we would get that, but of course, like any grant, there's no guarantee we will do. We expect to. But what we want to do now is what the steering group wants to do now is to employ this particular contractor refers on the paper with RCC, nothing to do with Rutland County Council, fortunate. It's a rural community council. As the paper says, the steering group invited 3 companies that do this sort of work to present to the steering group. 2 took up the opportunity. The steering group unanimously decided to recommend RCC to council. We also have printing to do. Now, I've used coin print in this. We've had another price of printing from these people, which is very, very similar. We've put coin down because we've used them before. We have found, as council has found, we get some extra value from them in they will also proofread. It's our responsibility to proofread, but they will also proofread. And on the last work we have done, which I've proofread about 4 times, I still found maybe problems with. They do all that for nothing, if you like. So the proposal recommendation is that the council notes the steering group's progress to date. Now the paper says to increase the budget this year from 5,000 to 9,500. I've since today or yesterday received a paper from RCC to say that the total cost of all the work we're asking them to do at this stage comes to 3,764. However, most of that would be invoiced in the next financial year. So I'm changing the proposal now that we increase the budget for this year by no, not for this year. Increase it by £1,000 for this year. You only have to pay them a 10% deposit plus the printing, and then I will be looking again at the budget proposal next year, increasing that by for extra £4,000 to cover their costs.
Thank you.
Also, the local clerk is instructed to complete a grant application. Now that will come for this year down to £3,000 because the grant application we make now, that money must be spent within the next 6 months or by the end of this fiscal year, whichever comes first. If we don't spend it, I understand that we would lose it. We can apply for that in tranches, and next year we can apply for the £6,000 if we need.
Thank you. Any comments or regrets on Vince?
In view of the way that the neighbourhood plan was outlined and the initial process that the council voted to carry out the neighbourhood plan, I propose that we accept the amended recommendations in full.
The proposal by Vince that be accepted in full. I'll just see if there's any comments before we get to that point. Second. So we've got Stan seconded there. Mike, you want to say something before we vote?
Yeah, on the whole subject, I got slightly confused, which is not understandable with the way this has been presented to me. We, as a council, have to approve. Sorry?
Didn't understand what you said then.
I said I got confused and thought that the figure you were asking for this evening, which has now changed, was for next year's budget. So I apologise for that email I sent confusing that. But the whole thing with the neighbourhood plan, we're asked to approve this expenditure and that expenditure, but we're not actually provided with any documentation to prove or back up that you've had free quotes. I went to one of these RCC, which is the Rutland Community Council meetings when I first came on the council, and they said that there are numerous organisations who can assist with this.
Okay.
Obviously they are a bit biased, and they said that when at that meeting, but they did recommend that we should consider all options. The other alarm bell rings is that we're now into almost a year, and the grants haven't been applied for. At that meeting, we were told that most of the grants will be gone by the end of 2016. I mean, that is what was said to us. And it's not me making it up. We were told, put in the grant application
See if he finishes.
at the earliest possible point. So I'm wondering why we're only even asking to recommend the lower amount. Surely we should be looking at the clerk with the assistance of our representative at what grants are available now, because it was clearly said to us that these grants will run out.
Right, thank you.
Chair, one thing.
Yeah.
That, at the meeting I went to, that it was proposed that most grant applications took approximately 2 years. So therefore, I would like to commend the neighbourhood plan team for what they've done, because they are doing leaps and bounds. We all were.
Well,
we have different groups.
Thank you. Right, let's carry on. What it is, I don't think we need to come back on this because we've got a proposal by Vince that this recommendations are accepted for, seconded by Stan. The comments that thank you, Mike, for making them haven't changed my opinion. So all those in favour that this proposal accepted in full. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All those against? Are you abstaining, Martin? Are you with us?
I am.
Abstaining or against?
But it's just that I'm
Abstaining.
I would like to know the total amount we're actually approving.
We just voted, Chairman. Can we continue, please?
Okay.
It's not been made very clear.
Well, the rest of us understand it. It's surprising that you don't.
Right. Stan, thank you. Right. You mentioned a figure of £1,000 for the end of this year, didn't you?
But then we've also got something about 4,200. Are we approving that as well? That's all I'm asking, is I need clarification on exactly what you're asking for.
That's what it's covered. Everything in there, the only thing he said that would be for an extra £1,000, everything else is covered under there. You can clarify,
the changes I've made in recommendation, purely because either today or yesterday I received further information from our...
Can we just clarify the expenditure, please, Mike? Yeah,
we're looking for an increase in budget for the current financial year from £5,000 to £6,000.
That's £1,000.
We are asking, everything else stays the same, except we're asking the clerk to complete a grant application, sum of £3,000 in the first tranche, rather than 6,500. Because it is audited, if we ask for 6,500 now and don't spend it by the end of March,
Okay.
then we lose that.
So abstaining or
I
against?
understand another,
You're voting for?
yes.
Thank you.
Because I
So
didn't
that's
explain,
unanimous.
I didn't get, nobody said about that change of the.
So that's,
Yeah, with the full amendment. That was my.
I only heard one.
right, let's stop, right, thank you, let's not forward copy it. Item 11,